All right, let's talk about Google's Pixel 4a. This is, for me, a very attractive phone, priced at $350. Very clean software, excellent camera system, class-leading camera system, in my opinion. There's just so much going on that is good with the Pixel 4a. And for a lot of people like myself that live in North America who don't have access to the OnePlus Nord or don't have access to like Redmi phones from Xiaomi, easy access to those phones, these stick out as being something special. So the way I'm gonna do this video, clearly I like them. I'm just gonna do a quick kind of like mini overview of the things that I really like about the phone, and then talk about some concerns I have about the Pixel 4a's. And then I wanna talk about like a purchase decision between like its close competitors, but also I wanna bring up this, at the end, a conversation about Google as a company right now, because I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about. All right, so the things I like about the phone. Let's start off with the size. I love the size of this phone. It is so small, and when you come off a large phone, for someone like myself with like normal size hands, this just fits in your hand. The whole one-handed operation, it's really comfortable to use, it's small, it's lightweight, and when you pull it out of your pocket, you put your fingerprint sensor on the back, and it opens up. The screen, it's an OLED 60Hz 1080p panel. It's a great looking display, but most importantly, it looks so much nicer. Not the actual panel itself, but the bezel it's uniform this year. There's no weird forehead or chin. This is like the nicest looking Pixel phone we've seen from the front. The battery life, because of that screen, is great. I'm hitting like a comfortable 8-9 hours of screen on time. I think because the processor and the screen aren't particularly demanding, it just doesn't suck a lot of juice. So battery life is good. There's a headphone jack at the top for people that want that, and there's also stereo speakers up front if that's something you are interested in. Personally, I love stereo sound when I'm watching any kind of media, and this delivers it. So the audio quality on the Pixel 4a sounds so much better than I thought it would. Pixels have never had great mic pickup. Like, it's usually a little bit echoey and not very clear. This just sounds so much better to me than the Pixel 4 even from 8-9 months ago. The camera system for the Pixel 4a is fantastic, as you would expect. I feel like this phone sets the bar. Nothing is better at taking pictures than this phone when it comes to $350 phones. I will say the differences are most pronounced when it comes to difficult shots. Like if you're doing low light photography or like high dynamic range photography where there's like a lot of bright and dark things in the same scene, this is where Google software really shines. If you're just taking regular photos, like you're just taking a easy photo, like well lit, good conditions, there's nothing moving around, and any modern smartphone can capture that stuff quite easily. But when it comes to more difficult images, the Pixels just do it so nicely. But keep in mind that it's something that not everybody needs, right? I think that's one of the confusing things about camera systems on phones. Like, we look at this stuff and we think we want the best. Everybody wants the best. I want the best, but sometimes we don't need it. And if you look in your camera roll and you never see dark photos, you never see photos taken in high dynamic range, you probably won't need the stuff that the Pixel's offering. Just put it out there if that's gonna help make your purchase decision. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about some concerns I have about the Pixel as well. The color. It comes in one SKU, black. There were rumors and even leaked videos of other color variations, but in the end, they just landed on one color. You can obviously skin it. It's one of like the new pastel colors from dbrand. I think these look really good with these particular phones. Okay, another concern I have is the water resistance. So this is a phone that is not IP certified, which isn't too big of a deal. And they also have a rubber gasket on the SIM card tray, which is nice, but if you drop this in water, it's probably going to suck. So the last thing I want to talk about is performance. And this is a concern that was not for me, but I think a lot of people were concerned about the kind of overall performance of this device. I tested this thing to the best of my ability in terms of just real world usage as well as gaming. Now, so it's got a Snapdragon 730G. Yeah, 730G. It is a chip that is, I keep looking over here because I'm looking at the OnePlus Nord. This has a faster GPU. The actual like CPU component is similar, but the Nord has a faster graphics processor. And when I put them together and I kind of compare them in performance, they're very similar to each other for regular phone use, but there is a difference in games. This is Fortnite. Normally runs at 30 frames per second on Android. It's not a game I ever got into on mobile, but you can tell that it's pushing the system a little hard. Now, there are other games that are somewhat demanding that don't have any issues at all, but I think for most people, this is perfectly good for even gaming. Now, if you're looking at the Pixel 4a, you might also be looking at the iPhone SE and potentially the OnePlus Nord, depending on the region you're from. Now, I'm not going to get into like a sweaty technical comparison between them. I do want to mention some kind of wider scoped thoughts about them though. Pixel 4a. I think that this is the phone, as great as it is, I think that this is the phone that's going to show its age the fastest. For one, it doesn't have 5G capabilities, but it's also the slowest of the bunch. And I think in like 4 or 5 years' time, this will feel slower than the other two, but it'll still take better photos. The iPhone SE, now this is the phone that I think is going to last the longest. I think it's built the best. It has waterproofing, and it's just a better built phone than the other two in terms of materials. It's also equipped with a flagship processor, and it's Apple, so it's going to have many years of software support. I feel like in 2025, 5 years from now, there's going to be so many iPhone SEs around still. Lots of them will have cracked screens and batteries that could probably use some replacing, but they'll still work remarkably well for a 5-year-old phone. Doesn't have 5G though, also. So if that's something that matters to you, it really shouldn't right now, but if it does, it doesn't have it either. OnePlus Nord, this is a bit different. This is a phone that is clearly focused towards enthusiasts. It's not as hardcore as their regular lineup, but this is filled with features that enthusiasts care about, like fast screens, fast charging, but those features bump up the price, and not everyone wants that stuff. But if you're an enthusiast, and you might be because you're watching videos like mine, this would probably be for that crowd. It does not have the best camera though. If you're looking, like, you saw the photos earlier, right? Okay, but that's basically my thoughts on these three phones. They are all good in their various rights, but just depending on what you want, what you need, you got to make that choice. Now, I want to close off this conversation with this topic that I mentioned earlier of Google's position right now. The Pixel phones have never had strong branding. Like, when I think about all the Pixel phones over the years, they've changed. Like, they've had like so many different directions of how they want to take it, where they want to go with it. Are they premium? Are they budget? And it's for them, Google, they're an experimental company, right? They try lots of things. They have such a big bankroll that they can try stuff like this, not make money, and not even bat an eye, because for them it's just like a learning experience. The thing is, for consumers, it's a little bit weird, right? We've seen, like, here's a great example. We see this phone, Pixel 4. This was an $800 phone at launch. And you see this phone, Pixel 4a, $350 at launch. This phone looks so stupidly overpriced beside this. Like, anyone who bought this at full retail probably doesn't feel great looking at the price of this, because they're just so similar. There's certainly not $800 and $350 worth of phone inside these things. Like, there's something weird going on in terms of their pricing. And I think for Google, the thing that I'm seeing right now, Google with this phone, the launch of the 4A, I feel like they've landed on something. I think they realized that they don't want to be in that ultra premium segment anymore. They discontinued the Pixel 4, like they're not making any more. They're stopped selling them off of their website. They're out of stock on a lot of it. The Pixel 5 that's coming out soon doesn't even have like high-end Snapdragon chips. That, like, what? A Pixel device always had the fastest Snapdragon, right? They're not going for it this year. They're going for just more budget-friendly options. And I think Google's realized this is where people want them to be. This is where they want to be. This is where they need to be, because they've had so many years of trying this stuff, ultra premium phones that just didn't sell really well. And I think they're shifting gears. Anyways, what do you think about that whole, this is a theory, right? This is what I think of what's going on with Pixel's kind of direction right now. I think it's a cool direction though. I think it's the right move for them. Okay, that's the phone. I mean, if you're looking at the Pixel 4a, it gets my wholehearted recommendation. I really like it, but just be aware that it's not a perfect phone, right? People that are looking for a Snapdragon 10,000 in a $350 phone, it's not gonna happen. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it. I'll see you guys next time.